Commander Hyun stared at the view screen, watching another world die. Orange flames spread across the surface of Turthos IV as Krethik warships bombarded the colony from orbit. He could see the explosions even from the small moon where his observation post sat hidden. Each flash of light meant thousands of lives ended in an instant. "Sir, the colony's shields just collapsed," Lieutenant Tay said quietly from his sensor station. The young officer's hand shook slightly as he worked his controls. They had been watching colonies fall for 3 years now, but it never got easier. Hyun nodded but said nothing. What could he say? The Dalthine Federation had tried everything. They negotiated. They pleaded. They offered trade deals and territory. The Krethik Empire wanted none of it. They only wanted expansion, and the Dalthine world stood in their way. The comm system beeped. Hyun touched the control and Admiral Gina's face appeared on the small screen. She looked tired. The Admiral had aged 10 years in the last 3, carrying the weight of a losing war on her shoulders. "Commander, I have news," Gina said. Her voice was steady, but Hyun heard something underneath it. Hope, maybe. Or desperation. "The humans have agreed to help us." Hyun blinked. "The humans? The species that just joined the galactic community?" "The same," Gina confirmed. "I know what you're thinking. They're new. They have maybe 50 ships according to our intelligence. Their technology is behind ours in most areas," she paused, "but they were the only ones who answered our call." That hurt because it was true. The Dalthine had begged every major civilization for help. The Vexori said it wasn't their concern. The Thelmen offered thoughts and prayers, but no ships. The Korthans simply didn't respond at all. Everyone had reasons why they couldn't get involved. "Everyone except the humans, what did we offer them?" Hyun asked. "In galactic politics, nothing came free. The humans must have demanded something valuable in exchange for their help." "Nothing," Gina said. "We showed them evidence of what the Krethik were doing. The civilian casualties, the destroyed colonies, the war crimes." She shook her head slowly. Their representative looked at the data for maybe 5 minutes. Then she said they would send their fleet immediately. No payment, no territory, no trade deals, just help. Hyun felt something twist in his chest. After 3 years of watching his people die while the galaxy looked away, someone had finally said yes. Even if they were newcomers with primitive ships, at least someone cared. "When do they arrive?" he asked. "They said 1 month," Gina replied. "They're gathering their fleet now." After the call ended, Hyun shared the news with his small team. Lieutenant Tay looked hopeful. Lieutenant Hai, the communications officer, seemed skeptical. They all knew 1 month might be too late. The Krethik were winning. 1 more month could mean 3 or 4 more colonies destroyed. 2 days later, the Krethik found out about humanity's involvement. The response came quickly. Overlord Vrex, commander of the Krethik war fleet, broadcast a message across all frequencies. He wanted everyone to hear it. "The humans think they can interfere in Krethik affairs," Vrex's voice boomed through the comm system. "These primitives barely understand faster than light travel. They have no combat experience against real military powers. When their pitiful fleet arrives, we will destroy them in minutes. Let this be a lesson to anyone else who considers helping the Dalthine. The Krethik Empire cannot be stopped." Hyun watched as Krethik ships began moving in the Vale sector. They weren't retreating. They were gathering. Hundreds of warships pulled back from their forward positions and assembled in a massive formation. They were preparing to meet the human fleet with overwhelming force. "They're really going to make an example of the humans," Tay said quietly. "Yes," Hyun agreed. He felt guilty. The Dalthine had asked for help, and now the humans were flying straight into a trap. Vrex had assembled over 600 warships. Even if the humans brought their entire fleet, they would be crushed. The days crawled by. Hyun sent regular reports to Admiral Gina about Krethik ship movements. The enemy fleet grew larger every day. They weren't hiding their strength. They wanted the humans to see exactly what they were facing. Vrex was confident, even arrogant. He believed this would be quick and bloody. On the observation post, morale was low. Hyun tried to stay positive for his crew, but privately he feared the worst. The humans had been brave to answer the call for help. That bravery might cost them everything. "Do you think they know what they're flying into?" she asked one evening. She had been monitoring Krethik communications all day. "The humans, I mean. Do they understand how big the Krethik fleet is?" "I'm sure they have intelligence reports," Hyun said. "They must know. Then why are they still coming?" Hyun had no answer for that. By any logical calculation, The humans should cancel their mission. They were flying straight into certain defeat. Even if they wanted to help, dying for nothing wouldn't save the Dalthine. It would just add humanity to the list of Rex's victims. 3 weeks passed. The promised arrival date came and went. No human ships appeared. Hyun felt a deep sadness but also relief. Maybe the humans had seen sense. Maybe they realized the mission was suicide and turned back. Better to live and fight another day than die for nothing. But then strange reports started coming in. Lieutenant Tae noticed it first. "Sir, the Krethik are missing ships." "Missing?" Hyun walked over to the sensor station. "Patrol vessels on the outer perimeter," Tae explained, pointing at his screens. 3 ships haven't checked in. Their transponders are offline. "Maybe they had system failures," Hyun suggested, though that seemed unlikely. 3 ships at once. Over the next 72 hours, the disappearances accelerated. 47 Krethik vessels simply vanished. No distress signals. No debris fields. No evidence they had ever been there. The mighty Krethik war fleet was being picked apart, and nobody knew how. Captain Mira, commanding a Dalthine frigate near the combat zone, intercepted a partial transmission from a Krethik cruiser. The recording was chaotic, filled with screaming voices. Hyun listened to it 3 times, trying to understand what the Krethik crew was saying. "Shadows," one voice screamed. "Something in the dark. Sensors show nothing but they're here, Then silence. Hyun sat back in his chair, his mind racing. Ships didn't just disappear. Something was hunting the Krethik fleet. Something their sensors couldn't detect. And then he understood. The humans had never been late. They had arrived early and been watching, learning, studying the enemy for weeks. And now they were eliminating threats 1 ship at a time, preparing the battlefield before the real fight began. Hyun smiled for the first time in months. Overlord Vrek stared at the tactical display in his command chamber, his 4 eyes fixed on the red markers that represented missing ships. Each marker was a vessel that had simply stopped responding. "No warning, no battle. Just silence. How many now?" he demanded. His tactical officer hesitated before answering. 63 ships, Overlord. All disappeared within the last 4 days. 63 ships. Vrex had commanded fleets for 20 years. He had fought in dozens of battles. Ships were destroyed all the time in warfare, but ships didn't just vanish. There was always debris, always some evidence, always something on the sensors before the end. "Send destroyer groups to the last known positions," Vrex ordered. "Find out what happened to them." 3 destroyer groups deployed. They found nothing. Empty space. No wreckage. No energy signatures, no clues. It was as if the missing ships had been erased from existence. On the observation post, Lieutenant Tae tracked the Krethik search efforts. "They're scared," he said. "Look at their formations. They're pulling everything into tight defensive positions." Hyun watched the display. Tae was right. The Krethik fleet, which had been spread across the sector in an aggressive attack formation, was now clustering together like frightened animals. They were trying to protect themselves from an enemy they couldn't see. "What could do this?" Hai asked. "What weapon could make ships disappear without any trace?" "Maybe they're not disappearing," Hyun said slowly. "Maybe they're being taken apart so carefully that there's nothing left to find." The others stared at him. "Think about it," Hyun continued. "The humans must have some kind of stealth technology we don't know about. They can get close to Krethik ships without being detected. Then they destroy them completely, removing all evidence. They want the Krethik to be afraid. They want them uncertain." "That's cruel," Hai said. "That's smart," Hyun corrected. "The Krethik came here expecting to destroy a small human fleet. Instead, they're being hunted. Every hour that passes, they get more nervous, more afraid. By the time the main battle starts, they'll already be defeated mentally." More days passed. The disappearances continued. The Krethik lost over 100 ships total. Vrex ordered his entire fleet into a single massive formation, thousands of vessels clustered together, their weapons pointing outward in all directions. It was a defensive position, not an attack formation. The hunters had become the hunted. Admiral Gina contacted Hyun with urgent news. "We've been monitoring Krethik communications. They're panicking. Some ship commanders are requesting permission to retreat." "Is Vrex granting it?" Hyun asked. "No, he's ordering them to hold position. But his authority is weakening. His officers don't trust him anymore." Gina looked excited. "The humans are destroying the Krethik without firing a single shot in open battle." But even as she spoke, something changed. Lieutenant Tae's sensor board exploded with alerts. Contact! Multiple contacts. Sir, I'm reading hundreds of ships appearing on sensors. Krethik reinforcements? Hyun asked, moving quickly to look at the display. No, sir. Tae said, his voice filled with awe. They're human ships. They're decloaking right in the middle of the Krethik fleet. Hyun watched as the tactical display transformed. One moment it showed the tight cluster of Krethik vessels. The next moment red markers appeared throughout the formation. 300 human warships had materialized inside the enemy defensive position. They had been there all along. Hyun realized, invisible, waiting, studying. And now they were ready. The first human weapons fired before the Krethik could even respond. Hyun watched on the long-range sensors as Krethik shields flared and died. Human weapons were different from anything the galaxy used. They fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. The Krethik shields, designed to stop energy weapons, provided almost no protection. Captain Mira's frigate was close enough to observe the battle directly. She sent a live feed to Hyun's observation post. The images were stunning and terrifying. Human ships moved like nothing Hyun had ever seen. They were fast and precise, dodging enemy fire with movements that seemed impossible. Every shot they fired hit its target. Every missile they launched found its mark. The Krethik were shooting desperately in all directions, but they kept hitting their own ships as often as they hit the humans. How are they doing this? Tae whispered. Hyun understood. The humans had spent weeks mapping every Krethik ship, every weapon system, every defensive position. They knew exactly where the enemy would be, where they would shoot, how they would move. The battle looked chaotic, but it was actually perfectly planned. Human fighter craft swarmed through the battle zone. Hundreds of small, fast ships that moved in perfect coordination. They targeted Krethik weapon systems with precise strikes, disabling enemy vessels without destroying them completely. Those fighters have no life support systems, Tae said, studying his sensors. There's nobody inside them. Remote controlled, Hyun thought. The humans were flying their fighters from safe positions on their larger ships. They could take risks that would kill a living pilot. And there seemed to be no limit to how many they could deploy. Overlord Vrex tried to rally his forces. Hyun intercepted his communications. All ships concentrate fire on the human carriers. Destroy their command vessels. But the Krethik couldn't concentrate their fire. Every time they tried to organize an attack, human cyber warfare teams disrupted their communications. Orders were changed. Targeting data was corrupted. Ships received commands that sent them in the wrong directions. The Krethik military machine, which relied on strict central command, was falling apart. Without clear orders, captains made their own decisions. Some tried to fight. Some tried to run. Some just drifted, their crews too shocked to act. 30 minutes into the battle, the Krethik fleet was devastated. Half their ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors were scattered and confused, and the humans showed no signs of slowing down. A new voice came over the communication channels. It was calm and cold, speaking in perfect galactic standard language. This is Admiral Kang of the United Defense Coalition. Krethik vessels, you have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and shields. Any ship that continues to fight will be destroyed. There was a long silence. Then slowly some Krethik ships began powering down. Not many at first, maybe a dozen, but others followed. The humans had broken them. Overlord Vrex screamed over the communications. Traitors, cowards. Any ship that surrenders will be hunted down and destroyed by the Empire. But his threats were empty now. The Krethik officers who had seen their mighty fleet torn apart in minutes cared more about survival than Vrex's anger. More ships powered down their weapons. Then Vrex made his final decision. All remaining ships retreat. Jump to hyperspace now. The surviving Krethik vessels, maybe 30% of the original fleet, turned and ran. They abandoned their disabled comrades, abandoned the sector, abandoned everything. They just wanted to escape. Hyun watched them go, expecting the humans to let them flee. But Admiral Kang had other plans. Pursue and engage, Kang's voice ordered calmly. No Krethik warship leaves this sector. The human fleet broke into pursuit groups and chased after the fleeing enemy. It wasn't a retreat anymore. It was a hunt. Major Hana commanded 6 human destroyers in pursuit of fleeing Krethik vessels. Her ships cut through space like predators chasing wounded prey. The Krethik were running at maximum speed, desperate to reach the jump point that would let them escape to their home territory. They would never make it. Target the lead vessel, Hana ordered. Her tactical officer fed coordinates to the weapon systems. 3 seconds later, Railgun projectiles tore through the Krethik destroyer's engines. The ship tumbled forward, momentum carrying it along, but with no power to maneuver or fight. Next target, Hana said calmly. Her destroyers worked methodically through the fleeing ships. The Krethik tried to shoot back, but their weapons couldn't track targets moving as fast as the human vessels. Every shot they fired missed. Every shot the humans fired hit exactly where it needed to. Ma'am, 2 Krethik cruisers are trying to hide in the Terthos asteroid field, her sensor officer reported. Pursue, Hana ordered. The asteroid field was dense and dangerous. Most species avoided flying through such areas at high speed. One collision could destroy a ship, but the human destroyers dove into the field without slowing down. Their navigation systems calculated safe paths through the tumbling rocks, updating thousands of times per second. The Krethik cruisers tried to use the asteroids as cover, dodging behind large rocks to break targeting locks. It didn't help. Human missiles curved around obstacles, using tiny thrusters to adjust their paths mid-flight. The first cruiser took 3 missiles to its engine section and went dead in space. The second tried to surrender, broadcasting a distress signal. Disable their weapons and leave them, Hana ordered. Move to the next target group. All across the sector, similar hunts were happening. Human ships pursued Krethik vessels with relentless efficiency. Captain Sung commanded a carrier group that deployed waves of unmanned fighters. His consciousness was linked to 12 fighters at once through neural interface technology. He saw through their sensors, controlled their movements, fired their weapons, all simultaneously. It felt like having 12 bodies, 12 sets of eyes. Sung's squadron trapped a group of Krethik frigates trying to escape through a nebula cloud. The frigates thought the thick gas would hide them from sensors. They were wrong. Human sensors could penetrate the nebula easily. Sung's fighters swarmed the enemy ships, disabling their engines one by one. Aboard the human flagship Indomitable, Admiral Kang watched the tactical display. Green markers represented human ships, red markers were the enemy. The red markers were disappearing quickly, either changing to orange when ships surrendered or vanishing completely when they were destroyed. Commander Yuna stood beside him, managing the tactical data. Sir, we've neutralized 80% of the Krethik fleet. The remaining ships are scattered and running in different directions. Should we let some escape to carry word of our capabilities back to the Krethik Empire? Kang considered the question. Letting survivors escape could serve a strategic purpose. It would spread fear throughout the Krethik military. Future commanders would hesitate before attacking human-protected territory, but Kang's orders had been clear. The Dalthine Federation needed total security. That meant eliminating the threat completely. No survivors reach Krethik space, Kang said. Continue pursuit until all hostile vessels are neutralized. Yes, sir. Overlord Vrex's flagship was the fastest ship in the Krethik fleet. It raced toward the jump point, abandoning all the slower vessels. Vrex sat in his command chair, watching his empire's greatest fleet being destroyed behind him. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. But at least he would survive to face judgment. Then his sensor officer shouted a warning. Overlord! Human ship decloaking directly ahead. A human destroyer appeared right in front of Vrex's flagship, blocking its path to the jump point. The Krethik ship tried to swerve, but at such high speed any course change was dangerous. Vrex's ship clipped the edge of the human destroyer's shield envelope and spun wildly off course. Alarms screamed throughout the Krethik flagship. The hull was breached in 3 places. Life support was failing. Weapons were offline, and more human ships were closing in from all directions. Surrender, a human voice said over the communications. Power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. Vrex looked at his ruined bridge, looked at his terrified crew. He had called the humans primitives. He had promised to destroy them in minutes. Now his entire fleet was gone and he was at their mercy. Power down, Vrex said quietly. 5 hours after the battle began, it was over. Commander Hyun watched from his observation post as the last Krethik ships either surrendered or were destroyed. The mighty war fleet that had terrorized the Dalthine for years was gone, completely and totally gone. Final count? Hyun asked. Lieutenant Tae checked his data. Of the 600 Krethik warships, 437 were destroyed. 163 surrendered. 0 escaped. 0. Not a single Krethik vessel had made it out of the sector. And human casualties? Hyun asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Surely the humans had lost some ships in such a massive battle. Tae looked at his screen again as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. According to the data we received from Admiral Kang, the humans suffered 0 ship losses. 41 vessels reported minor damage. 3 needed moderate repairs. But not one human ship was destroyed. The observation post was silent. Everyone stared at Tay, then at the view screen showing the debris field where the Krethik fleet had died. 600 enemy ships against 300 human ships. The humans won without losing a single vessel. It wasn't just a victory. It was dominance on a level the galaxy had never seen. Captain Mira's frigate approached the human flagship. She had orders from Admiral Gina to meet with Admiral Kang and thank him personally for the Dalthine Federation. As her ship got close to the Indomitable, she could see the human vessel clearly for the first time. The ship was enormous, larger than any Dalthine vessel. Its hull was covered in armor plating and weapon systems, but what struck Mira most was how different it looked from other species' ships. There was no decoration, no art, no attempt to make it beautiful. It was purely functional. Every surface, every angle, every component was designed for war. Humans didn't build warships as a backup to diplomacy. They built them to win. Mira docked with the Indomitable and was escorted to meet Admiral Kang. The human admiral was tall and thin, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He stood in his command center, surrounded by displays showing the aftermath of the battle. Human crews were already helping rescue Krethik survivors from disabled ships. "Captain Mira," Kang greeted her. "Welcome aboard." "Admiral Kang," Mira said. "I bring greetings from Admiral Gina and the Dalthine Federation. We are grateful beyond words for your help." "We did what needed to be done," Kang said simply. "May I ask," Mira said carefully, "how you achieved such a complete victory? Your fleet was outnumbered. By all standard military calculations, this battle should have been much closer." Kang smiled slightly. "We didn't rely on standard military calculations. We used human ones." He gestured to the tactical displays. "We spent 3 weeks studying the Krethik fleet before we attacked. We learned their communication protocols, their command structure, their weapon capabilities, their tactical doctrine. By the time we engaged, we knew exactly how they would respond to every situation." "But the weapons," Mira said. "Your technology is far beyond what our intelligence suggested." "Because we designed our weapons specifically to defeat enemy defenses," Kang explained. "Energy shields are common in the galaxy, so we use kinetic weapons. Electronic warfare is limited, so we use quantum-entangled guidance systems. Centralized command is standard, so we attack communication networks." Mira understood now. Every species in the galaxy developed their military technology by copying each other. They all used similar weapons, similar tactics, similar strategies. But humans developed their technology in isolation, fighting only each other for thousands of years. They had built weapons that the galaxy had no defense against because the galaxy had never imagined such weapons existed. "What happens now?" Mira asked. "Now we make sure this sector is secure," Kang said. "We'll maintain a presence here until Dalthine forces can take over defense. Any Krethik ship that enters this sector will be turned away. Peacefully if possible, forcefully if necessary." Mira nodded. She started to leave, then turned back. "Admiral, one more question. How much of your fleet did you bring here?" Kang met her eyes. "About 15%, 15%. This devastating force that destroyed the Krethik Empire's greatest fleet was only a small portion of human military strength." Mira felt a chill run down her spine. The galaxy was going to change very quickly. News of the battle spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. Within days, every major civilization knew what had happened in the Vale sector. The Krethik Empire, which had been expanding aggressively for decades, lost its entire war fleet in a single engagement. Lost it to a species that most civilizations considered newcomers and primitives. Ambassador Nari stood in the Galactic Council chamber on the neutral station of Concord Prime. She was surrounded by representatives from 40 different species, all of them demanding answers. The chamber was designed to hold maybe 100 people comfortably. Today it held over 300 packed in tightly, all wanting to hear directly from humanity's representative. "Ambassador Nari," the Vexori delegate said, his translator device making his clicking language understandable. "The Vexori Confederacy requests detailed information about human military capabilities. Your fleet's performance exceeded all known parameters." Nari stood calmly, her hands folded in front of her. She had prepared for this meeting carefully. The battle in the Vale sector demonstrated standard human military doctrine. We identified a threat to innocent civilians, assessed the situation, and responded with appropriate force. Appropriate force? The Thelman representative spoke up, her feathers ruffling with agitation. You destroyed 600 warships without losing a single vessel of your own. That is not appropriate force. That is overwhelming dominance. We prefer to win decisively, Nari said. It saves lives on both sides. A longer battle would have resulted in higher casualties. How many ships does humanity possess? Asked the Korthan delegate. That information is classified, Nari replied smoothly. Then tell us about your weapons technology, the Vixori delegate pressed. Your kinetic weapons penetrated Krethik shields as if they were not there. Your stealth technology is beyond anything we have encountered. Your cyber warfare capabilities disrupted an entire fleet's communications. How did a species that achieved faster than light travel only 8 years ago develop such advanced systems? Nari paused before answering. This was the question she had been waiting for. The question that mattered most. We didn't develop these systems recently, she said. We have been developing weapons for thousands of years. For most of human history, we fought only each other. We had hundreds of nations on one planet, all competing, all building better weapons to defend themselves or attack their enemies. The chamber fell silent. Other species had conflicts in their history, but nothing like what Nari was describing. Every weapon system you saw in that battle was designed to defeat human weapons, Nari continued. Our stealth technology was built to hide from human sensors. Our cyber warfare was designed to penetrate human computer systems. Our kinetic weapons were meant to destroy human shields. When we entered the galaxy, we simply applied these technologies to new enemies. So you are saying, the Thelman representative said slowly, that human military technology is thousands of years more advanced than ours because you spent those thousands of years killing each other? Yes, Nari said simply. The implications hung in the air like a storm cloud. Every species in the chamber understood what this meant. Humanity had a head start in warfare that couldn't be matched, and they had entered the galactic community with weapons that nobody else knew how to defend against. What are your intentions? The Vixori delegate asked. Will humanity use this military advantage to expand? To conquer? This was the most important question. Nari met the delegate's eyes directly. Humanity's intentions have not changed since we first made contact. We want to explore, to trade, to learn from other species, and to coexist peacefully. We have no interest in empire or conquest. But you will fight, the Korthan delegate said. If innocents are threatened, yes, Nari confirmed. If peaceful civilizations are attacked by aggressors, yes. If someone needs protection and asks for our help, yes. We will fight, but we will not conquer. We will not occupy. We will not expand through violence. Can you prove this? The Thelman representative asked. Your words are reassuring, but words are easy. Look at the Veil sector right now, Nari said. Our fleet could have taken control of Dalthine space. We could have demanded payment, territory, resources in exchange for our help. Instead, we are helping them repair damaged stations, providing medical aid to wounded civilians, and preparing to leave as soon as their own defense forces are ready. We are asking for nothing in return. In the Veil sector, this was exactly what was happening. Captain Jin commanded a human cruiser that was currently docked with a damaged Dalthine space station. Human engineering teams were working alongside Dalthine crews, repairing systems that had been damaged in Krethik attacks. Commander Hyun had been promoted to captain and assigned as the primary liaison between the Dalthine and human forces. He spent his days coordinating between the two fleets, learning how humans operated, and marveling at their efficiency. Your people work very fast, Hyun said to Captain Jin as they walked through the human cruiser together. Everywhere Hyun looked, he saw activity. Crew members moved with purpose, maintaining weapons, checking systems, running drills. We stay ready, Jin explained. The battle is over, but we don't relax. There could be another threat tomorrow, so we prepare today. They entered the ship's cafeteria, where off-duty crew members were eating. Hyun noticed something interesting. The humans were laughing, talking, joking with each other. They seemed relaxed and friendly. But he had seen these same people during the battle, cold and efficient, destroying enemy ships without hesitation. How do you do it? Hyun asked. How do you switch so easily between peace and war? Jin considered the question carefully. We learned a long time ago that war is not natural for us. Humans are social creatures. We want to build families, communities, civilizations. We want to create art and music and stories. War is something we do when we have to, not something we enjoy. But you are so good at it, Hyun said. Because we had to be, Jin replied. For thousands of years, if you were not good at war, your people died. Your culture was destroyed. Your history was erased, so we became very, very good at it. But that does not mean we like it, he gestured to his crew. Every person on this ship would rather be home with their families. They would rather be building things instead of destroying things. But they are here because the Daltheen needed help. Because the Krethik were killing innocent people. We fight not because we want to, but because someone has to. Later that day, Captain Wu, a human intelligence officer, presented his analysis of the battle to Admiral Kang and the senior staff. The numbers were clear and stark. We achieved a 20-to-1 kill ratio while outnumbered 2-to-1, Wu explained, displaying graphs and data. Total human casualties, 0 deaths, 47 injuries from equipment accidents and stress-related medical issues. Total Krethik casualties, approximately 60,000 dead, 80,000 wounded or captured. Admiral Kang studied the numbers without emotion. What does this tell us about galactic military capabilities? That they are approximately 50 years behind our current technology, Wu said. Maybe more in some areas. Their tactics are predictable. Their command structures are rigid. Their weapons are designed to fight each other, not us. Recommendations? We should share some defensive technology with our allies, Wu suggested. Not weapons, but defense systems. Better shields, better sensors, better communication encryption. If we are going to be part of the galactic community, we should help raise the general level of security for everyone. Kang nodded. Prepare proposals. We will present them to the Daltheen first, then to the Council if they are interested. On the Krethik homeworld, Emperor Vexus received the news of the fleet's destruction with cold fury. Overlord Vrex had been returned in disgrace and the Emperor ordered his immediate execution. But killing Vrex did not change the facts. The Krethik Empire had suffered the worst military defeat in its history. We need to understand how they did this, Emperor Vexus told his war council. We need to learn their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. We tried to study the human ships during the battle, his chief scientist reported. Our sensors were jammed or deceived. We recorded what we could, but much of the data is corrupted. What we do know is that their weapons operate on principles we have never encountered. Then develop countermeasures, Vexus demanded. That could take decades, Emperor. Perhaps longer. Vexus slammed his fist on the table. We cannot appear weak. If the other civilizations see that humans can defeat us so easily, they will lose their fear of the Krethik Empire. Perhaps, his military advisor said carefully. We should avoid conflict with the humans, at least until we understand them better. It was the first time anyone in the Krethik government had suggested avoiding a fight, but everyone in the room understood the reality. The humans had not just won a battle. They had demonstrated a level of military capability that the Krethik could not match. The war in the Vale sector was over. But the impact of that war was just beginning to reshape the entire galaxy. 3 months after the battle, Captain Hyun stood on the bridge of a human destroyer, watching as the last human warships prepared to leave the Vale sector. The Daltheen defense fleet had been rebuilt and reinforced. The sector was secure. The humans were going home. You seem sad, Captain Jin said, standing beside him. The human officer had become a good friend over the past months. I am grateful, Hyun corrected, but also worried. What happens when you leave? What if the Krethik return?
Jin smiled slightly.
They won't, not for a long time. But if they do, you can call us. We will come back, will you? Hyun asked. Your government sent you here because we asked for help. But will they keep helping us? We have nothing to offer in trade. No technology you need. No resources you cannot find elsewhere. You do not understand humans very well yet, Jin said. We did not help you because we expected payment. We helped you because it was the right thing to do. He pointed at the view screen where Turthos Tharfor was visible in the distance. The colony had been rebuilt. Cities were growing again. People were living their lives without fear of Krethik bombardment. You see that world? Jin asked. 3 months ago it was burning. Thousands of people were dying. Now they are safe. That is our payment. That is what matters to us. Hyun felt something tighten in his chest. He had spent years in the military, learning that everything had a price. Help came with conditions. Alliances required treaties. Nothing was free, but the humans had shattered that understanding. I want to show you something, Jin said. He led Hyun to a quiet observation room. Through the large window they could see human ships moving in formation, preparing for their jump back to human space. Do you know what we call ourselves in our oldest stories? Jin asked. The protectors. The guardians. The ones who stand between the innocent and the darkness. It is in our nature. When we see someone suffering, we want to help. When we see someone threatened, we want to protect them. But you are also warriors, Hyun said. The deadliest warriors the galaxy has ever seen. Yes, Jin agreed. Because sometimes the only way to protect people is to fight. Sometimes the only way to stop evil is with force. We learned this lesson over and over throughout our history. Peace is precious, but it must be defended. He turned to face Hyun directly. The galaxy is going to change now. Everyone knows what humans can do. Some will be afraid of us. Some will try to use us. Some will test us to see if we are really willing to fight. But I will tell you the truth, we will always answer the call. If someone needs help, if innocents are threatened, we will come. That is who we are. On Concord Prime, the Galactic Council was holding an emergency session. The topic was simple. What role would humanity play in galactic affairs? Ambassador Nari listened as various delegates argued about human military capabilities, human intentions, human trustworthiness. Some wanted to restrict human fleet movements. Some wanted to ban human weapons technology. Some wanted to form military alliances with humanity immediately. Finally, the council leader called for order. Ambassador Nari, the council would like to know humanity's position. Will you seek a seat on this council? Will you claim territory? What are your goals? Nari stood calmly. Over the past months, she had learned to read the various species in the council. She could see fear in some faces, hope in others, calculation in still others. They all wanted to know the same thing. Were the humans going to be friends or threats?
Humanity seeks three things, Nari said clearly.
First, we want to be recognized as an independent sovereign power. We will defend our territory and our people. Second, we want to trade freely with all species and learn from galactic civilization. Third, we want to help maintain peace and security for all innocent civilizations. That third goal concerns us, the Vexori delegate said. Who decides what civilizations are innocent? Who decides when military intervention is justified? We do not claim the right to make those decisions for everyone, Nari replied. But we claim the right to make them for ourselves. If we see a situation like the one in the Vale sector, where a peaceful species is being destroyed by an aggressor, we reserve the right to intervene. Even without council approval? The Thelman representative asked. Even without council approval, Nari confirmed. We will not ask permission to do what we believe is right. The chamber erupted in argument. Some delegates were outraged. Others were relieved. The Dalthene delegate, Admiral Gina herself, stood to speak. The Dalthene Federation supports humanity's position, Gina said firmly. 3 months ago, we begged this council for help. Every species in this chamber had reasons why they could not assist us. Only the humans answered. Only the humans cared enough to risk their ships and their people. If humanity had waited for council approval, our civilization would have been destroyed. Her words silenced many of the objections, because she was right. The council had failed the Dalthene. Humanity had not. We propose a compromise, the Corthan delegate said. Humanity will be granted full council membership and recognized as a major galactic power. In exchange, humanity agrees to inform the council of any military operations before they begin, except in emergency situations. Nari considered this. It was not everything humanity wanted, but it was reasonable. We accept with one addition. Any species that requests human military assistance will receive it, regardless of council opinion. We will not abandon people who need help. After hours of debate, the proposal passed. Humanity was officially recognized as a major power in the galaxy. More importantly, humanity had established itself as the protector of last resort, the civilization that would answer when everyone else turned away. Back in the Vale sector, Captain Hyun received orders to report to the human flagship one last time before they departed. He traveled to the Indomitable and was escorted to Admiral Kang's office. Captain Hyun, Kang greeted him. I wanted to speak with you before we leave. Admiral. Kang gestured for Hyun to sit. You have been an excellent liaison. Your reports were detailed and insightful. But more than that, you understood what we were trying to do here. I tried to learn from you, Hyun said, and you succeeded. Kang pulled up a holographic display. It showed the Vale sector and surrounding regions.
We are leaving, but we are not abandoning you.
We are establishing a monitoring station at the edge of this sector. If the Krethic or any other threat approaches, we will know immediately. And we will return. You would come back? Hyun asked.
Even though your mission is complete.
Our mission is not complete, Kang said. Our mission is to protect innocent lives. That mission never ends. The Dalthine are our friends now. We protect our friends. He deactivated the display and looked at Hyun seriously. I am telling you this because I want you to understand something important. The galaxy thinks we are powerful because of our weapons, our ships, our technology. But that is not where our real strength comes from. Then where? Hyun asked. From this, Kang said, touching his chest over his heart. From our commitment to stand for what is right. From our willingness to sacrifice for others. From our belief that every innocent life matters. Those things made us strong long before we built our first warship. Hyun thought about everything he had witnessed over the past months. The human crews who worked tirelessly to help rebuild Dalthine stations. The human doctors who treated wounded Krethic prisoners as carefully as they treated their own people. The human engineers who shared their knowledge freely to help improve Dalthine defenses. The humans had not come to the Vale sector to prove their superiority. They had come to help. Everything else was secondary to that goal. I understand now, Hyun said quietly. You are warriors when you must be. But you are builders first. Exactly, Kang said. Never forget that. When you hear stories about the battle, when people talk about how the humans destroyed the Krethic fleet, remember that we did not want to fight. We wanted to protect. The fighting was just the tool we used. The next day, the human fleet departed. Captain Hyun watched from his new posting on a Dalthine command station as the human ships formed up and jumped to hyperspace. They left behind a secure sector, grateful allies, and a changed galaxy. Lieutenant Tae, still serving under Hyun, turned from his sensor station. Do you think we will see them again, sir? Hyun thought about Admiral Kang's words, about humanity's promise to return if needed, about the monitoring station they had left behind, watching quietly for threats. Yes, Hyun said, not because we will call them, I hope, but because somewhere in the galaxy, someone will need help, and the humans will answer. He looked at the view screen at the stars that humans now traveled freely among. The galaxy had underestimated them once. No one would make that mistake again, because humanity had proven something important in the Vale sector. They had proven that overwhelming military might combined with moral purpose created something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that could destroy any enemy but chose to protect friends instead. The age of human exploration had ended. The age of human protection had begun, and the galaxy, for better or worse, would have to adapt to this new reality. In the darkness of space at the edge of the Vale sector, a small monitoring station powered up its systems. It was automated, unmanned, watching quietly, and on its hull, in letters that would reflect any scanning beam, was a simple message.